Today on NewsWatch, the perfect storm, why forecasters say this year's El Nino system could be one of the strongest on record. Plus, more email trouble for Hillary Clinton. We'll show you what federal officials found on the presidential hopeful's computer server.
As soon as we turn on the stimulator, they see their hand stop shaking. And it's just, that's the best feeling in the world for them and for me as a surgeon.
And this therapy is giving hope to people living with Parkinson's disease. We'll show you how it works. Thank you so much for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Ephraim Graham. Forecasters are predicting a record-setting El Nino for California this fall. Meteorologists say it is the second strongest on record for this time of year and could be one of the most potent weather changers of the past 65 years. California desperately needs rain, but El Nino could cause too much rain and too soon, producing mudslides and floods. Charlene Aaron has the story.
The waters of the eastern Pacific are heating up a lot, and the steady buildup signals a strong El Nino event this fall, with some calling it a super El Nino. NASA climatologist Bill Patzert even says this definitely has the potential of being the Godzilla of El Nino. El Nino is a weather pattern that can have an impact around the world. Here in the U.S., it usually means heavier than normal winter rain in California and much of the South and East.
That classic pattern of El Nino, where warm water pools off the west coast of South America, will shift the jet streams that bring storm tracks in the wintertime to Southern California and the desert Southwest a little further north, bringing some much needed rain and snowpack for that region.
That could mean good news and bad news for drought-stricken California. It's so dry in the state that they have placed 96 million plastic balls in the state's reservoirs to block the sun, hoping to save 300 million gallons from evaporation. The drought is also fueling lots of wildfires.
California and Northern California in particular is seeing a particularly bad fire season this year based on the drought conditions.
With the fires burning up California's vegetation, NASA says if this El Nino lives up to its potential, it could bring a lot of floods, mudslides, and mayhem. And some say even if El Nino happens, it doesn't guarantee the rain and snow needed to ease the current drought problems. The state would need 1.5 times its normal rainfall to end the dry season.
El Nino only increases the probabilities of seeing at or slightly above precipitation. It doesn't mean it's going to be a statewide 2-year deficit-breaking rainfall.
Meantime, after 4 years of dry weather, Southern Californians are keeping their fingers crossed that El Nino saves the day.
I'll probably believe it once I see it. It's been pretty dry.
Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Islamic State militants may have used chemical weapons against Kurdish forces. American forces are now investigating that possibility after Kurdish fighters have alleged ISIS used chemical weapons against them in an attack in northern Iraq. Any use of chemical or biological weapons would violate international standards, but similar reports also surfaced last month. It is unclear where the militants may have obtained the weapons. The Colorado Court of Appeals upheld a ruling that a Christian baker must make wedding cakes for same-sex couples or be fined. In 2012, Jack Phillips of Masterpiece Cake Shop in Lakewood refused to make a wedding cake for a same-sex couple. The couple filed a civil rights complaint. A judge then ruled Phillips discriminated against the couple, and the judge ordered him to change his store policy or face fines ranging from $50 to $500. Phillips appealed the ruling, saying he has no problem serving gays at his store, but says making a wedding cake for gay couples violates his Christian beliefs. His attorneys plan to take the case to the U.S. Supreme Court. Hillary Clinton discussed classified information in emails sent from her private server while she was Secretary of State. The Inspector General for the Intelligence Agency told CBS News that 4 emails contained classified information and 2 should have been labeled top secret. That's after reviewing only 40 emails. Earlier this week, Clinton agreed to turn over the server to the FBI after months of criticism. The Clinton campaign says it is cooperating with the investigation, but the server was blank. An attorney for the company that oversees Clinton's computer system says the drive was wiped clean when the system was upgraded. Political observers say Clinton watchers have seen this pattern before.
The fact that Hillary Clinton turned it over says to me that it's been carefully examined in various ways by not only her lawyer, but also by the campaign. And if they really thought that there would be something very, very damaging in doing so, they might have fought it further. That's typically what the Clintons do. They only release what they have to release. They take a long time to do it, and they elongate scandals as a result.
The new revelations could have a negative impact on Clinton's run for the White House. Today, the U.S. flag raises again in Cuba. Secretary of State John Kerry is in Havana for the raising of the flag over the new American embassy. Republican presidential candidate Marco Rubio is slamming the Obama administration for reaching out to Cuba and Iran. Rubio says President Obama has made no efforts to stand on the side of freedom. In excerpts of prepared remarks released by his campaign, Rubio says Obama has, quote, been quick to deal with the oppressors, but slow to deal with the oppressed. In Connecticut, the state's highest court has struck down the death penalty. Now the lives of 11 killers slated for execution will be spared. The decision adds momentum to the nationwide movement to abolish executions. Thursday, the court ruled the punishment, quote, no longer comports with the contemporary standards of decency and violates the Constitution. And still to come here on NewsWatch, it may not be a cure for Parkinson's, but it's the next best thing. We'll show you a medical breakthrough that is changing lives. Saturated fats are not as bad for your health as scientists once thought. A new study shows the big culprit is trans fats, those hydrogenated oils found in processed foods. Researchers at McMaster University in Canada analyzed 50 studies involving more than 1 million people. They found trans fats have no health benefits and instead raise the risk of death by 34% in less than a decade. Research shows trans fats increase the risk of heart disease. Well, we don't normally think about the ability to button a shirt, drink a cup of coffee, and get out of a chair, but we should. More than 7 million people around the world can't do those or other everyday things because of illnesses like Parkinson's disease. But as Lori Johnson shows us, a little-known surgery can help those people get their lives back.
Even though Nathan Rivera suffers from Parkinson's disease, he can control his body thanks to a pacemaker. It doesn't send electrical signals to his heart, though. They go directly to the part of his brain in charge of motion. We wanted to see how well it works, so Nathan turned it off. You can see almost instantly he begins to shake uncontrollably. Before Nathan got his brain pacemaker, called a deep brain stimulator, he was like many Parkinson's patients, a prisoner in his own body. As a minister, Nathan's violent tremors prevented him and his wife Elizabeth from fulfilling their mission to reach Spanish-speaking citizens around Youngstown, Ohio. Normal activities like walking and getting dressed were nearly impossible.
I had, problems doing the simplest thing, like bringing my wife a cup of coffee or something. My hand would shake so much, the coffee would spill. I couldn't really eat.
Nathan heard about deep brain stimulation performed by neurosurgeon Darlene Lobel at the renowned Cleveland Clinic.
It's important to understand that deep brain stimulation is not a cure for Parkinson's disease. It will treat the symptoms. It treats tremor very well. It controls about 90% of tremor, which is impressive. For stiffness and slowness of movement, it controls about 70 to 80% of those symptoms. The effect is durable, which means it lasts over a number of years.
And while that sounded great to Nathan, he did not like the idea of staying awake during the surgery.
And I said, God, why do I have to go through this operation when you could just touch me and heal me?
The operation involved placing sensors in the exact locations of the brain that control motor function. Pinpointing those spots meant Nathan had to follow the surgeon's commands while the doctor worked inside Nathan's brain.
Move your right hand, move it to the left. Can you move this? Move your fingers. Don't move, move your hand up, move your hand down.
Although the idea of being awake during brain surgery sounds unnerving, Dr. Lobel says at least it doesn't hurt.
The skin has sensation and can feel pain, but as soon as we put in local anesthetic into the skin, they don't feel anything else for the entire procedure. There's no pain endings in the brain, for example.
Nathan had to keep calm.
I didn't know what else to think about. I just kept on saying, I got to concentrate on something, so I'm not concentrating on what's going on because I'm saying, this is taking a long time. But it took a long time, and the nurse kept on asking me if I was okay, and she kept on talking to me to try to keep me busy.
The surgeon stretches a thin wire from the brain to a generator implanted near the collarbone. When it's all over, a test.
And this is the most wonderful part of this surgery. Patients are there in the operating room. We've held their medications, so their tremor is usually pretty severe at that point. As soon as we turn on the stimulator, they see their hand stop shaking. And it's just, that's the best feeling in the world for them and for me as a surgeon.
Since there's no cure for Parkinson's, it will continue to attack Nathan's body. But thanks to deep brain stimulation, he can stay one step ahead of the shaking.
Because the way I was, I couldn't function. But now I'm able to function. We're in ministry, and my wife is evangelist, and we go out and we preach to other churches. And why not use this as part of my testimony?
Lori Johnson, CBN News.
Hearts of Man, a new Christian film project, is taking on some very serious issues. Up next, we're hearing from one of the film's producers.
I got caught January 4th, 94. I get a call, and Kim says, I'm waiting for you at your office. And I know. That's the whole phone call. And what she knew, and I knew that she knew when she said it, was that I was in a 3-month affair with one of her best friends at the time.
When I choose to run from him into the darkness, he's with me in the room, and he's not angry.
And that's a scene from the forthcoming film, Hearts of Men. It's a powerful project that explores the roots of sexual brokenness. Jason Palmer is one of the writers and producers for the project. He joins us now to talk more about it. Jason, I know you've worked with people like actress Jada Pinkett Smith when it comes to telling the story of human trafficking. What made you decide to tackle the issue of men and sexual brokenness?
Well, my last film, Right for Profit, that Jada executive produced, dealt with the fruit of the tree. The illicit sexual behavior, the sex trafficking, the porn addiction. And as we finished that film and wondered what was our next project, this film came to us, Hearts of Men, and that deals with the roots, which is ultimately the hearts of men. It is what is beneath the behavior, what is ultimately at the center of this whole thing.
Wow. So how would you describe what people should expect to see in the film? They saw some from the beginning of this segment here, and there are some beautiful scenes in it, some emotional scenes. What can people expect?
Well, this is a unique project in that it is a dual genre. It is part narrative, part documentary. So we deconstructed and reimagined the prodigal son story, and that's our baseline, that's our through line. And then we interviewed thought leaders and people from around the country, guys like Tim Keller and Francis Chan, and author of The Shack, William Paul Young, and then people that had stories of brokenness and have walked through their story or at a place where they could share. And so the film ultimately is not about behavior. It is about what is a better adventure? What is the better mystery that we're being invited into as men and women? This film will hit both, I think, genders uniquely. Our creative team is mostly male. And so because of that, we feel like we're uniquely positioned and designed to speak into the male psyche, the male heart. And so that's what this film does. It says, men, you are created for so much more. And there is an elaborate feast that the Father's thrown for you. And he's inviting you back to that table to dine with him, to drink good drink, to eat good food. And to do that on Monday night when you relapse into porn, and on Thursday morning when you get short with your wife, and on Saturday afternoon when you get mad at your kid, all these moments in time, moments where shame can come in and drive men deeper into that hole. Or we can realize that there's an opportunity and that there's a gracious, scandalous God coming after us in the midst of that brokenness.
Where are you now in terms of completing the film?
So we just got through the third rough cut. We took it from 2 hours and 10 minutes to 1 hour 48, now we're at 1 hour 22. And we just sent it off yesterday for the first time to people outside of our creative core to get feedback. So we're moving. We're hoping to have picture lock by end of September, and then the post-production process starts to ramp up. We're having an original score composed by an incredible composer, Tony Anderson, whose vision for this film was ultimately what started this whole thing. It'll be orchestra. I mean, just so the whole fall and winter will be finishing out post-production. We might secure 1 or 2 more interviews. We're still trying to figure that out as we read through the cut if we need that. And then we're looking for global distribution spring of 2016, and we're talking to some partners right now about what that looks like.
What can people do to help? I know that help is needed. This is a massive project. You've seen some of the images. What can people do to help?
I think there's a few different ways. This film is unique in that we are raising donations to fund the film, and we've got just a little under $100,000 left to go, and that helps us get through post-production and into the distribution and marketing phase. So that money is needed for us to get this film out globally, and people can go to unearthedpictures.com to look at how they can give. And then also share the featurette. I think you guys are going to post that featurette, and that's a 6-minute clip, and that is the clearest depiction of what the film is going to look like. It shows the hybrid nature of our film. Sharing that is powerful because we've seen the work of the Spirit move on the hearts of men and women through that featurette alone. We got emails from around the globe, people that go, hey, I was going to go online today and binge on porn when my wife left for work, and I clicked on and I saw this piece, and it wrecked me and moved me in a way that I did not anticipate when I got online. So we keep hearing stories like that. So share the featurette. And if you can give, and it's $10, it doesn't matter. It's whatever you can give.
Well, I can attest, I've seen it, brought to tears myself watching it, certainly worth seeing. We have a complete preview of that featurette at our website. Jason, thank you so much for your time. Much appreciated.
Thanks, Ephraim.
Want to let you know that Lecrae is poised to add to his trophy shelf. The Christian rapper and businessman received more Dove Award nominations than any other artist. His 7 nominations include Contemporary Christian Artist of the Year, and Rap Hip Hop Album of the Year. The Gospel Music Association announced the nominees Wednesday. Lecrae earned a Grammy, you may remember, for Best Contemporary Christian Song for the track The Messengers on his Anomaly album. Lecrae's record label mate Trip Lee is also nominated. Christian artists Jonathan McReynolds, Erica Campbell, and KCJ could also take home awards. CBN News has had the pleasure of interviewing many of them. We posted those interviews at our website as well for you to see. And stay with us. We are coming right back. And we are back with more entertainment news. The weekend is here, and you may be thinking about heading to the theater. So let's turn to Focus on the Family's Entertainment Review Department, plugged in online for a review of the new film called The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Check it out.
How did you get the invitation to my party?
I stole it.
So you're a thief. I hope you wear a mask.
Sometimes. Just never when I'm stealing things.
In the movie The Man from U.N.C.L.E., it's the early 1960s, and America is in the midst of a deep freeze Cold War with the Soviet Union. But these are also times when potential nuclear disasters can call for unexpected cooperation between these two world superpowers. CIA secret agent Napoleon Solo, for instance, is on assignment to grab one Gabby Teller, the daughter of a former Nazi rocket scientist. It's thought by those in the know that her seasoned scientist dad may be building an atomic bomb for some group of international baddies. And the 20-something Gabby could well be the key to defusing that explosive situation. At the same time, Soviet agent Ilya Kuryakin is in the hunt for that young woman too, and also wanting to prevent any unwanted nuclear detonations.
We have no choice but to work together to infiltrate this organization. We'll leave you two to get acquainted.
It only makes sense then that everyone simply team up and work together in a new super spy enterprise called U.N.C.L.E.
Oh, and you have a new code name.
Code name?
uncle.
So let the car chases, gunfights, and other smartly dressed world-hopping spy guy stuff begin. Like the Mission Impossible picks before it, The Man from U.N.C.L.E. is yet another big screen adaptation of an old little screen TV show. Still, it has plenty of secret agent content to be wary of, from some fleshy sensuality to heavy drinking and smoking to espionage, violence, and torture. So I'm giving The Man from U.N.C.L.E. just 2.5 lock-picking doohickeys out of 5 for family friendliness. For a full review of this film or anything else at your local box office, visit us at PluggedIn.com. Plugging you into the movies, I'm Cheryl Wilhelmi for Focus on the Family's Plugged In Movie Review.
It is now time for your Friday Faithful, and the key word here is forgiveness. Stop beating yourself up over past and even recent mistakes. God has forgiven you. Forgive yourself and move on. The enemy and your haters would love for you to rest in your guilt, but know that those mistakes don't derail your destiny. If you forgive yourself, they actually push you closer to it. Well, that is going to do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. You can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com, and take the time to tell us what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can do it on Facebook or at CBN News on Twitter. Hope you join us again right here next time. Make this a fabulous Friday, everybody.